Hello there. Welcome to the chapter 2 of the tutorial series Python Programming for Absolute Beginners. In this chapter, we'll take a detailed look at the print function. I just said the word function. So now the question is, what are functions? As we're only starting our coding journey, we can't dive more into functions at this point. Right now, just keep in mind that functions are something that are already been defined for carrying out a particular task, and we get to use them for free without worrying about the implementation details. Or in other words, without worrying about how the function does the things that it does, we can call them and we can use it. In this chapter, we will not see how to define function ourselves. Instead, we'll see how we can call a function. It's like this. We write the function name followed by an opening and closing parenthesis, and inside those parentheses we write the inputs to the function. So the input to the functions are otherwise called arguments. In this case, there are two arguments. When I say argument, always remember it's the input to the function. When we call a function, the inputs to the functions are always called arguments. This is the most basic kind of explanation of functions. We'll see functions in detail in the following chapters. Right now, we are interested in the print function. What it does is that it takes in some values or characters and displays them on screen. We don't have to know how it works, we just have to know how to use it. So how do we use the print function? I will explain it with examples. To write the code, I will use the Notepad application. So for that, I will open Notepad now. To open Notepad, I will first take the Windows menu, search for Notepad, and I will open the Notepad application. And remember, how do we call a function in Python? We first write the name of the function, that is, in our case, it's the print function. So we will write print followed by an opening and closing parenthesis. Okay. And inside this, within quotes, I will write the text that I want to be displayed on screen. Okay, after this, I will save this file by going to File, Save, and I have already created a folder on my desktop. I will save this file in that folder with the name pyprogram1.py. Okay. So, like I said in the earlier video, the extension .py is really important here. And after giving this file name, I will click Save, and the file is saved. Okay. I will open this folder, and this is the file that we saved. To run this file, I will right click here, select Open in Terminal. This will open this particular folder in the Windows PowerShell, and in the prompt we can see the name of the folder. And after that, I will keep this window and Notepad here side by side. Okay. Sorry, the Notepad window is the Notepad window. Here it is. Yeah, I will place these two windows side by side. Okay, so this is the basic setup that we have, and we can write a program here on the Notepad, and then save it and run on the Windows PowerShell screen here. Okay, so I have already saved this file. Now I can run the file with the command python space pyprogram1.py. If you don't remember the name of the file, you can do an ls here, and it will show all the files inside this directory. Okay, when we give the command, it shows all the files in this directory. And see, here we have the Python program file. So we will run it with the command python space py program. So for auto completing this, we can press tab on the keyboard, and it will do the autocomplete, and then we can press enter, and see, this is the text that we wrote here, and it is working correctly. As I said earlier, Python will display on screen the text exactly how we have given it inside the codes. For example, I can replace this with any text and save this file and run this file with the command python space name of the program. Okay, so here we can press the up arrow on keyboard to select the last command, and see, this is the last command that we entered, and then we just have to press enter. So this is the text that we have written, and it is displayed exactly like that on screen. Now we can clear the screen with the command cls. Okay, so what the command cls does is that it will clear the screen and we will get a clean screen here. The text that we see here enclosed in a pair of quotes is in fact a string in Python. If you don't know what strings are a sequence of characters that are enclosed in single, double or triple quotes. Here we used a double quote. Maybe we can replace it with single quotes and it will work exactly the same. So make sure you close it with the single quotes. If you have opened a single quote, make sure you close it with the exact same thing. So I will save the file and I will run it with the keyboard up arrow. I will select this command and press enter and see it works exactly the same. If there are no characters inside the quotes, it is called an empty string. So we can print an empty string like this. So I will save the file and I will run it and see we have got an empty line here. And strings are not the only data type that we can print using the print function in Python. We can also print integers or floating point numbers or boolean values. We will see what those are in the next chapter. So right now we can just try printing some numbers. I'll say this and I'll run it. See, this number is printed. Okay, so we don't need a quotes here because it is treated as a number. It is not a string. Instead, it is treated as a number. Also, we can print multiple values using the print function by separating them with a single comma. Okay, so we will give 3, 4, 5, 6. Say this and I will run it and see all these 4 values are displayed. So the default behavior of print is that it will put a single white space between the input items. Okay, if we have more than one input, it will be printed with a single white space between them. And also we can mix various data types inside the print statement. Here there are 4 integers, then we can print a string and then we can print a floating point number. Floating point numbers are simply the numbers with a decimal place. So I will save this file, I will run it. See, all these things are printed with a single space in between them. So that's the default behavior. We can change that and we will see how we can change this behavior. If you don't understand what data types are and if you have no idea what I mean by floating point or integers, don't worry, we will see them in detail in the next chapter. And now we can give multiple print statements and see how it works. So we will write hello here and in the next line I'll write how and then then you. I'll say this and I'll run it. See, all these 4 lines are printed one after the other. Okay, so another default behavior of the print function is that it will add a line break after each line. So in the first line the text hello is printed and the line ends there, and the next statement the how is printed on a new line. So that's the default behavior of the Python print function, and we'll see how to change that behavior. I gave you 2 default features of the print function. It adds a single space between the multiple items and it adds a line break at the end. I'll show that again. And if we have multiple items, say okay, so 4, 5, 6, and I'll save the file and run it and see, if we have multiple items, the print function will add a single white space between those items. Also, it adds a line break after each line. So here we have a print function call here, and the input that is given is just a string hello. Okay, so the hello is printed and the line ends there. In the next line the how is printed on a new line. Okay, so these are the 2 default behaviors of print function, and we can see how we can change it. Okay, so first we'll see how we can change the separator. So the separator is the character that is added in between these things. Okay, so I'll delete all these lines, and here we have 4 inputs, 3, 4, 5 and 6, separated by commas, and in the end I will give another comma and write sep is equal to, I'll start a string and I'll write 2 dashes. I'll save the file and I'll run it. See what happens. See, we have specified that I want the separator to be this particular string. Okay, so here I have specified 2 dashes, and Python places those things between the values that it is printing. See, we have, and see, we have 4 values here, and it is placed between all these things. Okay, and also remember, Python will not place the separator after the end. It will place the separator between these things, between the arguments. Now if we don't want any separators, we can delete this and give an empty string. So an empty string is a string with no characters, just a pair of opening and closing quotes. Okay, so I have given an empty string here. I'll save the file and I'll run it and see what happens. It prints all these 4 values without any space in between them. Okay, so I think you got the idea here. And note that the separator works only for the multiple inputs. Okay, so if you have a single input instead of this multiple input, the separator won't work for that. So I will enclose this in quotes, and now this has turned into a single input of a string. Okay. And now I will save the file and I'll run it and see, this string is printed exactly like that. Okay, so the separator function won't work here because there are no multiple inputs, there is only a single input, it's a string. And just like sep, we can also write end is equal to what we want as the end of the line. So I'll show you. Suppose we have the string hello here, and I want the end to be a pipe character. So the pipe character is the character just above the enter button on the keyboard. So I will place it here and I will save the file, I'll run it and see, we have hello, the text hello followed by a pipe character. What Python does is that it will place the end character, the character that we specified for the end, at the end of the line. Okay, so if we write something here, print how, I'll save this and I'll run it. See, hello, the pipe character, and how. In this case, there is no new line character. The line is not broken. When the next line is started, it will be printed on the same line. There is no instruction to go to a new line here. Now, if you want to break the line, you have to write what is called as an escape character. So you write it like this. You write a backslash and n. So this thing is called a new line character in Python. So let's save this file and let's run it and see, this thing tells the Python to go to the new line, to end this current line, and the next character will be printed on this new line. So whenever Python sees this character in strings, it will break the current line and the next character will be printed on a new line. See, I'll do a CLS here to clear the screen. Now we'll see some examples to get ourselves familiar with these things. This is our first question. Print 4 lines like this with a single print statement. So we have to print these 4 lines with a single print statement. We can do it, and for that we'll head over to our text editor. Now we have our text editor. Let's think of it this way. How can we do that in a single line? How can we display that message in a single line? Okay, so we have to display hello, how are you? Okay, and I will save it and I will run it. Sorry. Yeah, we got that right. Now we have to think of how we can break it into multiple lines. So remember the new line character that I told you just before wrapping up our session? It's the backslash n. Okay. So adding a backslash n will break this line here, and let's save it and let's run it again. See, this line, we could break that line, and the from the next character onwards it is printed on the next line. Okay, so just like that we have to copy this new line character and paste it here and here. Okay, so now we'll save it and we'll run it again. See, this is the output we want. We printed it on 4 lines but with a single print statement. This is our second question. Print this line with 4 separate print statements. Okay, so there's a single line, hello, how are you? And I want to print it with 4 separate print statements. Okay, and I don't want any line breaks. So how do we do that? First, let's try to do it with 4 separate print statements and 4 separate lines of output. Okay, then we will see how we can do it on a single line. Now let's write 4 print statements, and let's say this first one, hello, second line, how, third line, r, and u. Okay, I'll save this file and I'll run it. See, we got all of those in 4 separate lines, and now we can think of how we can do it without line breaks. Do you remember how we can specify the end character? When we want a specific character at the end of each line, we can do it with specifying the end is equal to something. Okay, so if I give some character here, it will be printed at the end. So let's say this. Let's run this. There seems to be some error. Okay, there's 2 closing parentheses. We want just one. I'll remove it and I'll save it again. Run it. And see what just happened. We have our hello and we specified the end to end this with 2 dashes. Okay, so hello and 2 dashes are printed, and it will not go to the next line because there is no new line character here. By default, I said Python will put a new line character, and there's a new line character here. Even though it is not explicitly specified, there's a new line character here, here, and here. Okay, but here we have specified to end this line with these 2 dashes. Okay, there is no new line character. So right now there is 2 dashes. What happens if we remove them and we'll just give an empty string here? Let's save this file and let's run it, and see, there's no line break here. Okay, that's so Python will not add any line breaks because we specified the end character to be an empty string. That means there's no line break here. Let's copy this here and let's paste it here. Yeah, now let's save this file and let's run it. See, this is the output that we got. The problem is that all characters have came close to each other without any spaces between them. So we can add spaces here. Space. So now say this, run it again. See, we have spaces now, and we want to end this thing with a question mark, and see, this is the output we want. So I will explain it once again. By default, Python will add a new line character at the end of each print statement. Okay, so now let's save this file and let's run it. See, this is the output that we got. The problem is that all characters have came close to each other without any spaces between them. So we can add spaces here. space. So now say this, run it again. See, we have spaces now, and we want to end this thing with a question mark. And see, this is the output we want. So I will explain it once again. By default, Python will add a new line character at the end of each print statement. Okay, so when we say print something, Python will print that thing and by default add a new line character. So the next thing we print will go to the next line. Okay, so here we don't want any line breaks, so we have specified end this line with an empty string. That means it will not go to the next line. Instead, it will end it here, and the next character will be displayed next to this. So here is our third problem. We have two print statements here. We have to add suitable end and sep so that we will get this output. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10 separated with a dash, single dash. Okay. So let's see how we can do that. So we have two print statements here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the next print statement will print 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, so let's save this file and let's run this. Python space by program. Okay, so here's the output that we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separated by a single white space, and on the next line 7, 8, 9 and 10 separated by single white spaces. Okay, we want all of them to be printed on the same line. So first we can do that, and that is done by specifying end is equal to an empty string. Okay, so let's save this file and let's run it. See, everything is now on the same line, but there is no space between the 6 and 7. So let's do that now. We can do it like this. And is given an empty space, a single space. Let's say this. Let's run this. Yeah. Now there's a single space between every number, each number. Okay. So, and we want a single dash between these numbers. Okay. We don't want this space. Instead, we want a single dash between the numbers. So we can specify a sep is equal to a single dash. Okay, save this file, let's run it, and there's a single dash between all the numbers up to 6. Here also we can specify a single dash as the separator. Let's save this file, let's run it. We got it almost right. There's a slight problem here. Between 6 and 7 there is a space now. We want it to be a dash. Okay, so instead of this space here we can specify a dash. So let's see now what happens. Yeah, this is exactly the same output that we wanted. Now we got all of these numbers in the same line and separated by a single dash. So this is our fourth problem. We want to print it like this. 34 plus 56 is equal to, we have to calculate the sum of 34 plus 56, that is 90. So we have to print it like this. 34 plus 56 is equal to 90. So let's see how we can do that. So we have to print it like this. 34 plus 56. Let's save this file and let's run it. So yeah, we got 90 as the output. Okay, so this expression that we have given, we have not enclosed it inside quotes, so Python will evaluate this expression and the result we will get as the output. Okay, so we have to make changes to this. We have to print 34 plus 56 as string, so we will do this thing here. We'll save and we'll run it again. See, we got this expression as the output. So this is a single string. That means it is a sequence of some characters, these characters. And now we have to print an equals here. then we have to print the result of this addition as the second one. So we can do 34 plus 56. Okay, save this and let's run this. See, 34 plus 56 is equal to 90. I'll explain it again. We have given this string here, so this thing is not evaluated and it will be printed as it is. So we got 34 plus 56 is equal to, up to that it is a string, and as the second input we have given this expression. So this is not enclosed inside quotes, so Python will evaluate this expression and the result we got as output. So that's it for this video. If you like this video or if you found this useful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.